What's up guys, we're going to be doing a deck profile for Counter Fairies here. Now this deck has been so popular when it came out, but all of a sudden it just died off and no one's been playing it. In fact, looking through YouTube, I've only been seeing a few relevant deck profiles that are 2 months or even 3 months old, and overall no one's just been playing with this deck anymore, and I figure I might as well just make a deck profile for this. Now as you can see, there's no extra deck because honestly this deck still doesn't really need an extra deck, it just works as is. But yeah, let's just go with this deck profile. I really thought this deck would take off, but overall nothing's been happening with it. No one's playing it. I've been going on Yugioh Pro really regularly these days, and I see no one playing this deck at all, and I figure I just really want to make something with it. So starting off with monsters, we're playing 2 Sacred Arc Air Knight Parshath. This might seem a bit much. Honestly, you can take one out and put in the extra deck Parshath instead. I just don't have it, so I'm playing 2 copies of this, but it's up to you what you want to play. But yeah, I'm playing 2 of them because we are playing the trap card that can special summon it, so it's pretty nice. We are also playing 3 copies of Bountiful Artemis. This card is naturally a 3 of. It's really important just to help you draw cards, and the whole deck is going to be counter traps anyway, so I figure I might as well just play that. Playing 2 copies of Minerva. I have thought about playing 3 again, but overall I feel like 2 definitely works out. It's just that gaining 500 isn't really going to do much, but overall, if you have Sanctuary on the Sky on the field, then this card becomes very good to just help you recycle your counter traps from your graveyard again. So definitely a really good card to gain hand advantage, to select specific counter traps that are actually in your grave, whereas Bountiful Artemis just draws a card, not knowing what you're going to get. So at times she can be good, but given that you do need Sanctuary in the Sky and that doesn't always happen, she's good at 2 for now. Playing 3 copies of Guiding Ariadne. This card just takes away the cost of your counter traps here, so it's just really nice. Saves you life points, saves you the ability to discard or anything like that, the cost of discarding. And also, if it's destroyed anywhere, whether it's in the monster zone or pendulum zone, this card will just allow you to search for any 3 counter traps and make your opponent select 1 to add to your hand. So definitely a card worth playing at 3. Playing 2 copies of Meltiel. Gaining 1,000's nice, just so that when you pay life points, you don't lose out on it. And also, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, destroy a card as well. So not too bad there. I'm playing 2. I might drop it to 1 because it's a bit much, but I'll explain why I'm playing so many monsters. Power Angel Valkyria, playing 2 of those as well. If you negate anything, a spell, trap, or monster effect, you just add any light monster from your deck to your hand. So definitely a great card to go into. And mostly what I'm searching with that card is actually the Honest that I have. I'm playing 2 copies of it. Might drop Meltiel to actually add in a 3rd Honest, but for now, I think 3 might be a little too cloggy, so I'm playing 2. Like I said, that's a lot of monsters I'm playing in this deck, but I have good reason to play that. Alright, so moving on to spells, we're playing 3 copies of Sanctum of Parshath. This card is just very important. You have to play 3 of them. I mean, I can't see you could play 2, but overall, what's the reason? I mean, so many of your cards actually work on the fact that this card is is one of your main engines. It acts as Sanctuary in the Sky. Your fairies get an extra amount of attack as well, and not to mention you protect your set cards, so it's just really good. And also it has the additional effect to recycle your cards by restacking the top 3 cards of your deck, so it's just so good. Now of course, Sanctuary in the Sky is very important. That's why we're playing 2 copies of this. Now you could take out one of them and put in Zeradius instead, which is the monster that you can discard to search for Sanctuary in the Sky. But overall, I just like playing this, and it's up to you how you want to switch the ratios around. You could just play Zeradius instead. But yeah, it's just so important. It just helps your monsters get its effects off with the addition of Sanctuary in the Sky. And you don't know how important this card or these cards actually are until you actually see it working in the most optimal situation. Now, this particular build is the budget variant, so I am playing only 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren and no other spell cards in this deck. Obviously, you do want to draw into mostly your counter traps. So overall, I'm not playing Card of Demise, I am not playing Pot of Duality, and if you're thinking about playing those cards, you should be taking out Ties of the Brethren because they both don't work really well with each other, because Ties requires you to special summon, and having cards like Card of Demise or Pot of Duality really restricts you from that. So if you're going to play those, then play those. Otherwise, Ties of the Brethren is a great way to play as a budget variant of this particular deck. That's it for the spells. Let's move on to the traps. Oh, just before I actually go in with the trap cards, yeah, the Ties of the Brethren is to bring out all those monsters. That's why I'm playing so many monsters. Sometimes I just don't draw into the monsters that I need, or any monsters at all, and I just have counter traps on the field. And yeah, I can negate stuff, but that's just a 1-for-1 trade-off, and you're not gaining anything. The whole point of counter fairies is to have the monsters to allow you to gain the additional effects. And you're only playing 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren, and there's no way of searching it. But the thing is, if you draw into that with one of your other level 4 fairies, then you could just use it, and it just brings out so much advantage in this particular game. Alright, so for the counter traps now, we are playing 3 copies of Rebirth of Parshath. Might seem a bit much here, but overall, with Guiding Ariadne, you don't have to pay the cost. You do still have to reveal a counter trap in your hand, which kind of sucks, but overall, it's still a great way to bring out your Sacred Arc Air Knights as well. And it's quite powerful as well. So I do like this card. The fact that you had to discard 1 card and pay 1,000, it's a big cost, but when you have Guiding Ariadne on your pendulum scale, this card's just so much value. It's just worth so much in this particular build. So yeah, going with that. Playing 2 copies of Divine Punishment. Again, we're playing Sanctuary in the Sky, and I figure playing Divine Punishment definitely works in this particular variant. I'm playing 2 of them. I think 3 is a bit much because, again, you do need Sanctuary in the Sky on the field, and it's sometimes very difficult to even get it out because there's no other way of searching it unless I throw in Terraformings, but that's not worth it because it just clogs out the deck. Playing 3 copies of Drastic Drop Off. This card's just so amazing. Now, a lot of people don't know how to actually use this card. It's a pretty simple effect, but the thing is, most people just end their turn, and when your opponent draws, they just activate the Drastic Drop-Off. It's not worth it. I feel like it's better to wait it out and let your opponent search for what they need, and when they actually do search for the card that they need, you can activate the Drastic Drop-Off, getting rid of that particular card. Now, you might be thinking, isn't that a big risk? What if your opponent activates Twin Twisters or something to destroy it? Well, most of the time we do have Rebirth, we have Divine Punishment, and we have Sanctum of Parshath to protect our set cards as well. So most of the time your opponent won't be able to destroy the Drastic Drop-Off, and it's worth waiting so that your opponent adds something very specific for you to actually use this card. That's why we're playing 3 of this. It's pretty much another version of Ash, but at the same time we are also emptying out their deck as well. So 3 copies of this is very well worth it. Playing 3 copies of Ultimate Providence. Again, this card with Guiding Ariadne, you just don't have to pay the cost, and it's just really amazing. The fact that you can pretty much negate every single thing that your opponent does. So, really good card here, and I don't know, there's nothing much else to say about it. Now, this one might be a very interesting pick, but I am playing 2 copies of Broken Line. Now, most people have been playing one of them because it catches the opponent off guard, and again, it negates anything just like Ultimate Providence, or even Divine Punishment, and Rebirth as well. So these cards negate anything, monster, spell, or trap. But the thing is, with Broken Line, it's specific to 1 column, and it's, they all have to come with a specific type of cost, and with Broken Line, they just have to be in the same column. It's very simple. But the thing is, the first one's to catch your opponent off guard. The second one, again, if your opponent makes a mistake, then they fall for the second one, and yeah, you pretty much got them. But of course, with this particular build, I do have a lot of set cards on the field, and overall, they're eventually going to have to put a Link monster somewhere, and with Broken Line, you can easily deal with that. Now, to end things off with traps, we're playing 1 copy of the Solemn Warning, of course, and 2 copies of Solemn Strike. Now, I used to play 1 copy of Solemn Judgment in this deck as well, but the thing is I decided to take it out and put in the 2nd copy of Broken Line. So if you do want to put in the Solemn Judgment, then you can obviously take out the Broken Line, because only one of them will become effective. But it's just, I don't want to be paying half my life points, and unless I have Guiding Ariadne, I don't want to be activating Solemn Judgment. And the thing is, sometimes you do have to pay the costs, because you're not always going to have Guiding Ariadne in your Pendulum Scale. So Solemn Judgment is up to you and what you want to do with it. So far I'm taking it out to put in the 2nd Broken Line, but if I feel that Broken Line doesn't work for me, I'll take out the 2nd copy and I'll put in the Solemn Judgment again. Now, another interesting trap card that people play is Red Reboot. Red Reboot is one of the new trap cards, and it's not too bad of a card, but so far I'm not feeling it right now. Like, I'd probably take out 1 parshath, 1 Rebirth, and 1 Providence, and put in 2 copies of Red Reboot if you guys want to do that. That's just another option. But again, this whole deck just focuses around counter traps, and that's the fun of it all. And yeah, that's my take on this particular version, and this does go up against the format pretty well. Obviously, it's not competitive, but you do have your fun with it, and you know, it's just a really fun deck to play overall. It's just sad to see that it's not popular anymore, and I just really wanted to bring it back with this particular deck profile. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time.